Hello, it is Saturday, March 2nd, 2024, and I am Chef Val. My business name is Mackerel. Oh, geez, I always do that. I always hear myself echo. Sorry about that. Hey, guess what? The Vegan Health Bundle has been released, and it's for sale only from March 1st until March 10th. That's why I'm coming to you today live. The Vegan Health Bundle is this incredible deal for you. It is over 150 people that have come together, and we have put in our contributions of videos, information, nutritional videos, cooking classes, cookbooks, and all kinds of merchandise. World-renowned doctors in the Whole Foods vegan lifestyle have they're not donated. They put in the bundle their courses. So what I'm saying is there's all kinds of wonderful educational things about living a whole foods plant-based diet. There's over $8,000 worth of merchandise. I am part of the bundle, and I have a couple things in the bundle. The bundle is $49. $8,000 worth of merchandise for $49, but it's only for sale from the 1st until the 10th of March. You have to act fast. The link is in my video right there. Click on it and purchase it. So like I said, there's over 150 people that have contributed to this Vegan Health Bundle. And so I'm going live today on Facebook and YouTube, and I invited anybody, if they wanted to join with me, they're more than welcome to. And I have Lori Landry. So let me get her to join here. Says, okay, add her to the feed. There she is. Hi, Lori. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for putting the offer out to join you. I don't know if I can stay on too long, and I'm eating my lunch right now, which I wanted to make something for the bundle, but I just haven't had time today. But just a basic salad today. But thanks for having me on, and I'm excited to talk about the bundle.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell everybody what your contribution to the bundle is.
Yeah, so I have an ebook in the bundle called Plants, Pills, and Punchlines, and it's sort of a humorous story. I mean, the story itself is not humorous. I had a lot of health conditions growing up from birth all the way till I was about, in my 30s. And so my story kind of my book tells that story. It kind of gives you a little insight into my world and why I decided to go whole food plant-based vegan. And what miraculous changes occurred when I did that, and then what led to me becoming a chronic illness health coach and getting involved with these bundles, these incredible bundles, and being able to meet all of you. And I mean, everyone in the bundle is a different type of contributor, right? Depending on what they do in their lives and what they, offer, if they're a chef or, just a recipe creator or content creator or physical fitness or yoga or whatever they do. There are doctors in there. But I consider all of us healers, because putting this type of bundle out is just so incredibly, the what's in it is so incredibly healing. You know what I mean? And so I consider all of us healers. And I think that's so awesome that we could all come together and put this together.
Yes, absolutely. For sure. Now, where do you live? Where are you coming to us from?
So I'm originally from Massachusetts, and I've been living out in Los Angeles, California for about almost 14 years. How about you?
I'm in Michigan. Yep. So we have, actually, it's unseasonably warm here. We're going to be like in the 60s today. But yeah, so California is pretty much warm all the time. We have the different seasons here, but that's okay. So you mentioned something about you wanted to try a recipe in the bundle. So you haven't got a chance to make any recipes yet?
I have made some, just not today. Like, I wanted to make one before I jumped on with you, because I was like, I need lunch. Let me see if I could make something. And I should have tried to look ahead of time. But I've made Alyssa's hand salads, her raw wraps. Those are incredible. And I mean, that book alone is worth the $49, like what you get. Cause it's not just making the wraps, which I mean is my favorite part, but she goes into, you know, all different types of fillings and the sauces and the base and just building the whole thing. And there's also like, once you get it, there's also a link to like a video course that, you know, shows it to you as well as just reading it. Cause you know, we all learn different ways. And then she also explains like what, the best tools to get in order to make the best wraps. And so that's been my favorite thing so far. And I've made a ton of her wraps and made up my own recipes based on her wraps. She's got amazing stuff. I'm trying to think of what else I've made. I'm going to make Sky Conway has this delicious sounding raw, it's like a pumpkin gnocchi recipe. And I'm like not new to the raw world, but in the past couple of months, I've been eating a lot more raw, and I'm finding that I'm getting more and more healing. So I've been really trying to focus on that right now. And so a lot of these books have raw options as well, a lot of raw recipes, but there's also a ton of cooked recipes too. And it's all like super healthy and healing and oil free and amazing. But yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to read all of the books. There's so much content in there. But I'm looking forward to trying out a bunch of new recipes. How about you? Have you made a lot so far?
No, because I what I do for a living is I teach cooking classes and I cook for people. So I'm constantly cooking, but I have started. And so today I made Lisa Rice's dish right here.
Oh, that looks so good.
I changed it a little bit. Sure, her recipe calls for you to take the vegetables and roll it into rice paper and then make like rolls. I didn't have any of that, so I served it over brown rice, which is fine. It's vegetables over brown rice, little cubes of tofu, and then she's got this peanut sauce. That's the killer. It's peanut butter, garlic, and ginger. And she likes to put spicy stuff in it, but I went a little mellow. I put paprika in it instead, but the peanut butter sauce is killer. So I was able to do Lisa's recipe. I have on my list to make Chef Julia Dunaway, couple of her Japanese restaurants from her, or recipes, excuse me, from her, you know, she's got her Japanese #2 cookbook in the bundle, you know, and she works with sea vegetables and miso, like Japanese, and my background is in macrobiotics. So we use a lot of the tamaris and misos and sea vegetables. So yeah, I'm looking forward to making some of Julia's recipes too.
Yeah, those sound really cool. There's a couple of contributors that put some different like ethnic foods in there. There's Mexican, there's Lebanese, a couple of different Asian ones. I'm trying to remember Indian recipes. I mean, like some of them are, the whole book is focused around it. Some of them are just like a few recipes within their ebooks and their courses. And that's really cool. So it's not just any old, like you can go in and search for, I want, you know, holiday recipes, or I want spring recipes, which we have that whole collaborative book that, you know, a bunch of us, did you put a recipe in there for that?
I did, yes. Mm-hmm.
What'd you put in for that one?
I'm trying to remember. It has sauerkraut. I believe it was brown rice, aduki beans, some spring vegetables, and sauerkraut is what I submitted in there.
I'll have to try that. Do you make your own probiotic foods and sauerkrauts and stuff?
Yes, I do. In fact, I just taught a cooking class, like I think it was 6 weeks ago. And I taught them how to make sauerkraut, also some fermented beets, fermented fennel, and the pressed salad.
Wow.
And I mean, I adore sauerkraut, but when you make it yourself, like after it's fermented, I usually eat when it's like just out of the crock. It just tastes so good. And I have this, like, I can't even show you. It's like a huge crock, like this big, like 5 heads of cabbage I start with. And so I make huge batches of it. It's just, yeah, really good. Delicious. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. Are any of your, in your recipe books for the bundle, do you have any of the sauerkraut or anything like that in there?
Unfortunately, no, because, you know, the bundle, I had to get everything done. So in the bundle, I have Healing with Foods, which is 3 classes that I taught. And there's also a companion book that go with it that goes into in-depth how to use foods for their healing medicinal properties. The first class is onions and garlic. The second one is aloe and comfrey. And the third one is turmeric and ginger. So I teach how to make compresses, how to make poultices, and I teach you what condition to use what food with. So if it's swollen, use this food. If it's black and blue, use this food. Or if you cut yourself open, how to do that. Because I use food. I mean, I've been using food for 27 years. I don't have quote unquote medicine in my house. I have food. And I want people to learn this knowledge so they use it on a regular basis, because the more you use it, the more it becomes second nature. And then you'll just automatically go, oh, yeah, so this is swollen. I should take some onions. I should steam the onions a little bit and then make a poultice and put it on there. If you do it once, you'll remember it. Then you'll do it twice. Then you'll do it 3 times. Then you'll remember, that's the application. That's what you need to do. So I've got the Healing with Foods classes, which there's a lot of information there. And then I did a collaboration with Sid Nodder and Vicki Brett Gock called Scrumptious Plant-Based Burgers and More, where I made my pasty burger. This is my pasty burger. I made this up this morning.
That's so interesting looking.
And this is a gluten-free bread / bun that you can serve it on. And it has a white sauce. Has a white sauce. Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. I saw your book in there, the poultices, and what is that book called?
Healing with Foods.
Healing with Foods. So cool. Like when I was younger, before I really knew any of this stuff, my aunt gave me, I can't remember what this book was called, but she gave me this book on, it was like a beauty book, but it was using all like basically, foods to, this reminds me of a little bit, but like, to make a face mask, or to use like crushed up strawberries to brush your teeth, or I can't remember all of the cool things, but I was like, this is amazing. And then I was talking to my grandmother, who told me that my great grandmother used a lot of healing foods for ailments and illnesses. And that really got me interesting. And I wish that she had, lived a little bit longer for me to ask more of the questions. But she used, a lot of the things that you mentioned. She used ginger and garlic and onion and she did compresses and poultices, and I was very young, so it wasn't until later when I started remembering these things. And my family kind of joked about it, like, oh, your grandmother's like a witch, she always using these like special things, but there was something to it. And then the more I learned about eating the food, internally healing from food and using that as medicine, I'm like, well, our skin is our biggest organ, so why not be able to use it topically as well? But I haven't dabbled enough into it, so I'm really interested. It's a course or a book?
It's both. It's the course was 3 classes. Each one is about an hour and a half. But then I have all the information typed out like in a booklet form too. That it's the bundle is all digital for people who don't know. But like the booklets, you can print out what everybody contributed. So the booklet that I put together, you can print out, and then you'll have it in physical form if you want to just read through or say, oh yeah, instead of having to pull up the video, how did she make that onion poultice? Oh yeah, it's right here, So that's really great about the bundle too, is people can print out, like if you like Chef Julia's cookbook, you can go and print it, and then you'll actually have the book. You'll have the cookbook itself in printed form, because some people like digital, and some people, I like, when I'm making a recipe, I kind of like the printed form, because who doesn't take notes, right? And write on the side of it, like little notes when you're making a recipe, right? I know we all do that. So the printed form is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I have like I live in a tiny place. So I'm like, I can't have any more physical books in here. So for me, the digital form is great. And what I'll do, I don't really, I didn't even think of it. I could do this, but I'll find recipes and I'll take a couple screenshots if it's not like multiple pages. And I could just make like little notes, on the screenshots themselves. But I know a lot of people like to have the physical form. Sometimes it's nice to just grab a book and just open it up and just have it there, right? But I'm so used to doing everything on my phone now, which is so small. I should get like a tablet. But yeah, your course and your book sound really interesting. How did you get into all of that?
Well, I've been whole foods. I got into macrobiotics when I was in my early 20s. So it's been a long time. And I've been in business for 27 years. And when you start cooking and studying the health benefits of the food, you realize that not only do you eat it and get those health benefits, but like you said, if you put it on the skin, garlic, onions, or aloe or whatever, it's healing also that way. So I actually bought more books on poultices and compresses. And then there's this fantastic woman on YouTube called Barbara O'Neill. Now, I started watching her about 10 years ago, and I would just pull up her videos, and I literally would just watch her videos over and over and over again. This woman has the most knowledge. Like, if you want to know how your liver functions, like, what does your liver do? How does it function? She just goes into great detail. And then she talks about the foods that will heal the liver. And she talks a lot about, and it's all food, it's all natural, it's all vegan, it's all whole foods. Her name is Barbara O'Neill. Now, nobody knew who she was when I was watching her videos and everything, but now they've turned her videos into those short clips, you know? And
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen so many people share her little short clips. So I think more people are discovering her, and she has a wealth of knowledge. She's from Australia, but just so much knowledge. And with me, it's like just reading and like, I read the books over and over again, or if her YouTube videos, I just watch them over and over again. And it's repetition. The more you hear it, then the more you know it, then the more you can recite it, right? So for me, it's repetition. But so it's been many, many years of studying this and then trying it and use applications. So in the Healing with Foods course that I taught, I like to tell a lot of my personal stories, but one of my favorites is I healed my cat. Okay. We're using this. My male cat, I had this white male cat. He lived for 23 years. He was a very healthy cat. But the last year of his life, things started, and he got inflamed anal glands, which I had never heard of. Okay, so they're anal glands, down where he goes to the bathroom, and it was swollen and he wasn't in pain. So I took the steamed onion poultice and I wrapped it in cheesecloth, and I would hold him and I would put it on there. Now, he didn't like it very much.
Yeah, I bet.
I had to do it multiple times a day. Like, if you were dealing with a person, you could put it on the person and the person will sit there and let it go. But the cat, I had to do it multiple times. I also took fresh grated turmeric, which is strong anti-inflammatory properties. I did put turmeric on there too, and it healed it. And then my vet took a look at it and everything. And my vet is on the holistic side too. And she was like, wow. She goes, this is completely healed. She's like, I wish more of my clients knew what you knew. She goes, I wouldn't be so swamped, and everything. But anyways, that's just one of the stories where I use the application and the information to not only heal humans, but I actually healed my cat too, which is awesome. So do you have any animals?
Unfortunately, we had a dog. He passed away in July.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I was doing some similar. I'm trying to remember what I used. I felt like I put like a hot compresses. He used to get, he had really bad allergies to something, like, I don't know if it was environmental. We couldn't really figure it out, but he would get, bad allergies, and he would get these like big sores on his skin. They weren't hot spots. They were like cysts. And so I would put like warm compresses on them. And I can't remember I feel like I added something like an essential oil or something to it. Did I do essential oil? I don't remember. Maybe it was food. But what you said reminded me of, that, I don't know if you've ever seen this or tried it or whatever, but like a scar cream, there's one, like there's a brand name called Mederma, but there's other off-brand names that are just scar creams. And one of the ingredients in it, which I think is probably one of the main like working ingredient, is onion. I don't know if it's like the oil from the onion or onion extract or what it is exactly, but it's from the onion, and that's what's really healing the scar. So why not just go straight to the source, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. One of the best things there is to heal your scars or even get rid of your scars is comfrey. And I go into great detail in comfrey. I love comfrey. I've been using it for years.
How does it come? Where do you get comfrey? How does it come?
Well, I get large bags, but I get the loose leaf tea, and I usually look for the organic comfrey loose leaf tea, best quality. I like to go for best quality. So I usually go with that. You can get the twigs also, but I go with the leaves. And if you're lucky enough to grow it, I used to have some in my backyard, but I don't anymore. But you can pick the fresh leaves of the comfrey and use that too. But comfrey, I busted open my chin. This was probably about 10 years ago. And people say, oh, you got to go to the hospital. I didn't go to the hospital. But anyways, the comfrey will take your skin and it'll close it up and heal it quicker than anything else. But you have to make sure that it's completely clean. There can't be any dirt in there because it will literally take the skin and close it back together very quickly. So if you accidentally didn't clean it enough, so that is one precaution with comfrey. But if you ever cut yourself, and this was a big gash on my chin, and I did the comfrey, I have no scar whatsoever. Had I gone to the hospital and they would have stitched it, I for sure would have had a scar. So comfrey is the best thing in the world if you cut yourself, especially if it's a big cut or whatever. And you think about it, they've been using comfrey for thousands of years, probably before recorded history. We just don't know about it. But, wounds in the battlefield or whatever, it was just terrible. They would take the big leaves and they would just wrap it around whatever had happened because they knew, like your grandmother knew. This knowledge people used to know. And unfortunately, it's kind of gone now, although it's not completely gone. There's many people who still have this knowledge, thank God, which is great. But it's old knowledge, things that we should be using again, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we've lost a lot of that along the way. I mean, there's some things like I've seen comfrey or that like the onion oil or extract. I don't know what they use, in some things like that, or you just buy it like CVS or whatever. So they're still using some of those elements and ingredients in some of the things, but then some of the things are not so great. They add like other fillers that are just anti-healers. So then you're like, well, it's backwards, but it's still somewhere in there. But I feel like, yeah, you're right. Like a lot of it has been lost, things that we would have used that maybe would have passed down from generations, because we just go to the pharmacy now and we just pick up, Advil, and we just pick up whatever, crap that's out there. And it's not all crap, thank God for some Western medicine, but like a lot of it does, the opposite of help, unfortunately. And so if we can at least try to use, medicinal healing through food first, we might find that actually works better, like you said, like with your scar, or and using it internally as well, like a whole food plant-based diet is going to help with the healing process. You're going to heal much quicker too, if your body has all the tools to do self-healing. But yeah, it's crazy that we immediately would just go, we have a tinge of a headache and we're like, oh, I got to get some Motrin, I got to get some Excedrin or something, rather than, drink a bunch of water, or see if you're going through a caffeine withdrawal, or maybe you're not getting sleep, or maybe you can take something like a food source that could help. We don't go to that anymore. We just immediately go to a pharmaceutical, and it's unfortunate because I think it's doing us a lot more harm than good.
Yeah. Well, I've been living this lifestyle for 30 years. So knock on wood, a very healthy person. I'd never reach for any of those things you listed. I know new people, though, people who are just getting into this movement, they really need the knowledge that's in the bundle, because everything that we're talking about here, if you have something wrong with you, there's going to be a food that can help you heal. And once you get that refined, processed American diet, stop eating that junk, right? Your body just starts to cleanse itself. It starts to heal itself. The body is so miraculous and amazing. I don't think people realize that. The body is miraculous. When you have the correct environment, alkalized environment from whole foods, plant-based, you don't have the acidic, refined, processed foods, your body will start to get stronger, and it'll start healing itself. It's just miraculous. You mentioned you overcame some things from switching over your diet. Did you want to just, mention those things? What did you overcome?
Yeah. So, I was born with nourishment issues. I was having trouble absorbing vitamins and nutrients and minerals. So I was hospitalized pretty early. I was put on a lot of antibiotics. I ended up having to have 5 sets of ear tubes. So those were 5 surgeries, and then, the antibiotics and the surgeries and the illnesses caused other things. I had chronic yeast infections, chronic fungal infections, chronic sinusitis, sinus issues. I was always getting sick. My immune system was just crap. I ended up being diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 9. And then from there, I ended up having other autoimmune and chronic illnesses stacked on top of it, which was like Raynaud's and psoriasis and chronic fatigue syndrome and Hashimoto's and fibromyalgia. And the list kept going on. I had insomnia at times. Sometimes I had almost not or narcolepsy. I would be falling asleep, like just standing up. And a lot of that was side effects from I was on heavy medications. I was on like lithium and methadone and different steroids. I was getting cortisone injections. I was on fentanyl patch. And that was like all the way through my adult life. And I was just, you were sick and you would add another sickness on top, another side effect from the medication. I was on, I think about 8 prescriptions, at such a young age at one time, not including all of the over-the-counter stuff that I was always, just got a notification, always on, some type of, I was always on a medication. I didn't know what not being on a medication was like. Since I was really little, it was like I'd have to remember if I went to sleep over at someone's house, I'd have to bring all my medication. When I got older, I kind of dabbled into more of a holistic side of things. And, then I had like a boatload of supplements. And I'm not knocking supplements or medication. There are times and places where they're needed. But I was taking, basketfuls of supplements and a box full of medication, and I wasn't really getting any better. I wasn't getting to the root cause of anything. And I, for a while, thought this was my life. I got really depressed. I didn't want to live anymore. Thankfully, I did, because I found that I actually, like we've already talked about, the tools were always available to me. I just didn't know. I didn't know about it. I didn't know the power that, food had and herbs, and none of the doctors told me about it. They didn't know, or they didn't believe it. They weren't trained in nutrition either, or not much. They were trained in medicine. And I grew up on a standard American diet, and I had food addiction issues, so I was eating a ton of processed food. I ate all the animal foods, and the animal foods, I was told, even cheese and dairy and eggs, I was told, those are healthy. We get, calcium, and we get protein and things like that from those. And so I needed those. So I thought when I was eating those were healthy. I knew that, chips and cake and Cheetos and all that stuff wasn't healthy, but I was super addicted to that. And so I would try to cut that out, and that was tough. And, but I was still eating the animal products, and cleaning up my diet had helped. I was able to get off a couple of medicine, but it was cleaning it up, like less meat, more vegetables, which, helped a lot. It just wasn't enough. I wasn't getting the blood work that I wanted. I wasn't getting, the symptoms to go away. And it wasn't until I, figured out how to do it, and, it took a really long time. It wasn't linear. It was up and down. Once I figured out how, like, the way I properly needed to eat whole food, plant-based, it wasn't until then I was able to come off all of my medications. I'm almost completely symptom free. Occasionally we'll get flares, but like rarely at all. Like I'm like living, I used to miss school and miss work. I was on disability. I would miss social events. And now it's like, I have the energy and like the interest and the motivation, and I have the physical ability, to do all these things. And I've even tested the waters. I go and I eat more processed. I don't now, since I've been vegan, whole food, plant-based, since I've been plant-based vegan, I don't eat any animal products at all. Like that's ethically. And now that I have the knowledge, I don't plan to ever do that again. But I will, occasionally eat some processed food, and then I pay for it. And then I know, okay, it's just a reminder that was a test. Don't keep testing the water. Let's stay on track here, because that's the way that I feel really good. And that's how I help my clients as well. And I couldn't even believe that this has all been at my disposal. If I had only known, when I was younger, I could have stopped. Like I had 10 surgeries. I could have probably stopped like 4 or 5 of them at least.
Oh, 10 surgeries. Wow. Yeah. That's a lot of medication you were on too.
Yeah. Too much medication with too many side effects.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you're over that now. And now you're pain-free. And, so I don't think that people realize or understand how incredibly good it feels when your body is healthy, because they think that eating that Twinkie or whatever, ho-ho or that stuff, they think that that's, well, I want to use the word happy or fun. But to me, that's not happy or fun. What's happy and fun is the fact that I have more energy than my friends who are 10 years younger than me. I want to go out and go kayaking. I want to go out and go hiking. I want to ride my bike, and my friends, I love them dearly. But like I said, some of them are 10 years younger than me, and they don't even have the energy to do what I do. And it's like, so to me, fun and happiness is feeling good. And that starts with what you put in your body. It's so fundamentally important. And until you experience it, like you've experienced it, you have a great story. You can stand up on your soapbox and say, I feel great now. You have no idea like how bad I felt before. I feel great now. Maybe that should be like your motto, like you should flash it across the screen. I feel great now or something.
Right. I know, what's, kind of weird, so I've had good times and bad times. And as I got older, I did find my medication cocktail that worked, quote unquote. Didn't work. It just kind of masked the symptoms where I was like a robot. I took this medicine to wake up and this medicine to go to sleep and this medicine to feel no pain. This medicine like gave me no emotion, but at least I wasn't depressed. This medicine did it, and I was like a robot. I got to take this, and this at this time. And so I was functioning for the most part, if I wasn't in the privacy of my own home or those that are really the closest to me, I was functioning like everybody else, a normal average person. So there are definitely people in my life that don't really necessarily see a difference, because a lot of my illnesses were invisible. I did have some joint destruction. I had both my jaw joints replaced. I have a little bit of like one of my fingers is a little just messed up in my toes from the rheumatoid arthritis. But for the most part, unless I was in a cast or I had to use some kind of splint or something, all of my stuff was an invisible disease. So I came off looking like a normal person. And if I said I'm tired or I have to sit down, people didn't understand. But there are some people in my life, my immediate family members. My mom went through hell with me with doctor's appointments and all that stuff. But, it still kind of surprises me. And my family, my sister, they're all very supportive. I'm not trying to knock them at all, but it baffles me because they saw what I went through. They saw me through the surgeries and the medications and the side effects and how sick I was and being on disability and needing to help me. And it's still surprising that it's like I'm off all my medications. My blood work is good, and it's like I've tested the waters. I've been my own guinea pig. It's due to these lifestyle modifications and nutrition, and they still think that are you getting enough calcium? Are you getting enough protein? Do you have enough iron? Did you check this? Did you check that? They never asked me this when I was eating McDonald's.
Yeah.
And they. I wouldn't say they eat unhealthy. My family eats a lot of fruits and vegetables and whole grains, but they eat a lot of processed foods and they eat a lot of animal products all throughout the day, excuse me. And they have health conditions. And I don't want to get on their case because I want to continue the relationship with them. But if they do bring something up, I said, hey, have you tried this? Or, I had that and I did this. And it's just, I'm the youngest too in the family, and they just are just not having it. And I'm like, but I'm the example, like and it just kind of like, I get it when the outsiders, they don't get it. Like I could just be telling any old story, but they've been there. And so it is surprising to me that they wouldn't be more open to trying it, but I think, people are very sensitive about their food. Food brings a lot of emotional support for people. Even if we don't know it, we eat food for entertainment, for socializing, for joy, for that dopamine and serotonin hits. And people are, they don't want to give that up. And then there's a lot of, information out there that is confusing and conflicting, and their doctor thinks they need this. And so they'd rather listen to their doctor than their sister who's actually, gone through this crazy thing, which is unfortunate because I wish I could help them. I love them and I want them to live long, high quality lives. But the more I bring up, I don't want to get into a fight. So I try to be the example, but sometimes it's not even enough. But like you said, you don't know until you've been through it. Even there are people that wanted to go, vegan, or they wanted to go whole food plant-based because of ethical reasons or because of the planet, or they care about the future generations. And maybe they didn't have any health concerns that they knew of, right? And then they did it and they're like, wait a minute, like my skin is clearer. I have more energy. I sleep so well. I'm happier. And these might sound like little things, but these are the just dormant, not even dormant, but there's like low level illnesses that are staying in probably the majority of people's lives. They don't even realize until they change their lifestyle and they're like, oh, I didn't really consider myself sick at all. I wasn't on medicine. My lab work was fine. But now that I feel better, even though I wasn't necessarily sick, like it's this higher elevated, living.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting that if you're eating the average American diet and you have aches and pains or you have this condition or whatever, most people don't say to you, well, are you getting enough iron? Are you getting enough protein? But when you turn vegan, you get enough protein? Oh my God. After 27 years of teaching cooking classes and getting asked that question also by family members so many times, here's my response. Here's my answer. Everything that grows out of Mother Earth has protein in it. So because I eat a whole food vegan, everything comes out of Mother Earth. Everything that I eat has protein in it. When I sit down to eat, everything on my plate has protein in it. Everything. There's no way I'm going to be protein deficient. Even fruit, although fruit has very small quantities, I'm not saying it's an abundance, but even fruit contains a little teeny bit of protein. So, and there are certain foods that we know, but every time I sit down, I'm eating protein. It's impossible, And you mentioned being the youngest. I'm also the youngest in my family. And just hang in there with your family, because I was the youngest. And I remember people would come in my fridge and they would pull things out of my fridge. Like, what is this, miso? Like, what is this, sea vegetables? At that time, I was storing my sea vegetables in the fridge because I didn't know. That's when I first started. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, what is this? Right. And then, but my dad, this is one of my greatest success stories. My dad came to us about 18 years ago and said that he had high PSA, it was going towards prostate cancer. And I said to my mom and dad, if you guys want to change your diet, I will help you, whatever. So my dad actually did change his diet. He went very strict and eliminated a lot of stuff. He ate organic, whole foods, vegan, until his body healed himself from the prostate cancer. So he didn't have any medical intervention, nothing. It was all foods. And he healed himself. And mom and dad were very strict for many years so that dad could heal himself. And, his doctor said at the time when he had the prostate cancer that he was going to do what his daughter was doing, this macrobiotic, whole foods, vegan. And the doctor said, well, you can do that, but that won't make any difference. And my dad proved him wrong. So my dad was able to heal himself. Now, since he healed himself, then they kind of went wide. And they do try and eat as good as possible, but it's not the diet I eat or whatever, but they're definitely open to it. So, and your family is so funny though. This is what your family will do. Because my family, if anybody in your family decides to go down this path, I've been teaching it and talking to them and telling them. And then they come to me and they go, hey, Val, shiitake mushrooms have vitamin B12 and they're really high in protein. And I'd look at him yeah, I've told you that 100 times, but now they're coming to me because they read this article and they're like, hey, and I just would smile and go, yep, that's why I eat shiitake mushrooms. Yep. Because they found it from a different source, but
Yeah. Sometimes the people we're closest to, I don't know what it is. You sometimes don't want to listen to your daughter. Maybe, you don't want to listen to your mom. You don't want to listen to your spouse. Sometimes we need to hear it from a different source, but I get that all the time. Some of my best friends, I talk about this. I love talking about health and nutrition. And healing. And I even like talking about medical stuff and surgery. Like I'm very interested and fascinated about all of that. And so, my girlfriends, we get together and someone's like, oh, I'm eating a high protein diet because of this, this, and this. And then I'll be like, oh, I'm doing this. And, sometimes they try to joke with me, but I know they're, a little bit like, oh, Lori and her vegan stuff, blah, blah, blah. But, I try to still give like a little bit of information, and every once in a while, it actually happens more often than I'm surprised by it. Kind of like you, like they'll send me a video or an article or a new study or something that it's like, oh, did you know this about, vegan diet or plant-based diet? Or did you know that, like you said, like the mushrooms have this and this in them? And part of it is like, I'm frustrated as I was like, yeah, I already told you that. I know all this stuff. Why are you sending it to me? But then the other part is like, okay, well, hey, if they have to get it from another source, so I'll just like it or I'll heart it, or I say, yeah, I did know that. I'm so cool you found this or whatever, but it's just funny. It's like, they don't want to listen to us. Who am I, Like, I don't even know if I were a doctor, I don't even know if they would listen to me. I don't know what it is, but they have to come about it on their own. I hope they will. But, I really hope they will, especially the people who, we really love and care for. You want them to be around a long time. But, I know that we're making at least a little bit of an influence for people, even if we don't really necessarily see it. Say they're still eating, a bunch, chicken and stuff, but maybe they're eating less processed, and maybe they're bringing in more vegetables, and maybe they're doing like some of your poultices, trying to, maybe like my sister, actually, she had, she had her colonoscopy last year, I think, or I don't remember what it was. And she actually reached out to me and was like, hey, what can I take for probiotics, or what can I take to help, with my gut flora after this? And I was just like, okay. And I like giving her all these options about prebiotics that are just as important. And I don't know if she took the advice, but she asked for it. And to me, that was a big deal. And I felt like, okay, she's the older sister, and she's, asking me about it. So that was something special to me. So that, I think little bits get in there, hopefully, especially if they're sending us stuff, then, that they're like, oh, hey, Lori does this type of thing. So I'm going to send her this. Like, maybe they know that maybe they don't know that I know all this information. I don't know everything. Don't get me wrong. I don't know everything, and I'm always learning, and we're always evolving, and more science is coming about. But yeah, like you said, it's just funny. It's funny though, family members are like, did you know this about mushrooms? It's like, yeah, I did.
Yep. So I was like, yeah, I've known that for like 27 years. Yeah. 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 I'm like you, like some people, I get that everybody's different. But so all my friends are talking about what they binge watched on Netflix. And I'm like, well, I pulled up YouTube and I binge watched, how to heal the liver, or what does the liver do, or how to heal the kidneys, or how do the kidneys function. I mean, that's what I binge watch. And it's kind of hard to have a conversation with someone about that, though.
I know the stuff that I watch all sorts of things, but I'm the same. Like, I watch all the health videos on YouTube and listening to the doctors. I love hearing studies, and I love hearing research. And even on Netflix, I'm watching all the health documentaries, and they're like, oh, my friends are maybe not interested in that unless it becomes mainstream somehow. And yeah, it's funny. It's like you have friends watching, and I'm not trying to make fun of anyone for their preferences. We all need hobbies and stuff. I watch some garbage TV too, but they're talking about all of the I don't know, with like Bachelor or the real reality TV, and I don't watch any of that. And I was like, oh, really? I watched this documentary about, a twin study about the health, the healing benefits of a plant-based diet. And they're like, oh, cool.
My friends have mentioned that to me, that one about the twins. I haven't seen it yet, but where like one twin changed and ate the whole food plant-based and the other one didn't. I haven't watched it yet, but people have mentioned it to me. Yeah. Did you watch it?
I did. I had a lot of issues for it, mainly because the people who went on a plant-based diet were still eating like the processed fake meats. And though they did still have better, weight loss, if that's what they were looking for, but they did still have better blood markers and lab tests and stuff like that than the people who stayed on the animal products. They were still like, I'd be more interested in seeing someone eating a whole food plant-based diet and maybe not going against maybe somebody on a sad diet, maybe somebody maybe even a little bit healthier but still eating the animal products. I would be really interested in that because I think a lot of people who are health conscious, maybe not necessarily to the level that you and I are, but some people who are health conscious still think, you know, they need to get, you know, some poultry or fish for their omegas, and, you know, meat for their protein, and eating eggs for this and that, but they're not eating very much processed foods, but they're still, you know, having some issues. So they're eating a healthier version of the standard American diet. And they think that they're eating a healthy way, right? So I'd be more interested in seeing, you know, that test with minimal to no processed food on both sides, and against someone who's eating a whole food plant-based diet, because I feel like that would be really way more powerful, and you would see the study, like you would see it like black and white, like for sure this is the way to go. This is what humans are supposed to eat. And, you know, because I don't think it was as dramatic of a difference in that time frame for the people who switched to plant-based, but they were still eating processed meat, and like they were eating like the processed store-bought cheese and stuff like that, which, you know, are high oils and high fats, and some of them are inflammatory, you know, stuff, and they're made in a lab rather than made in, you know, the ground. And so it wasn't, I was annoyed by that. But I did have a friend and her family who watched that documentary because it like kind of got a boom on Netflix, and they watched it, and then they actually were like, we're going to try to eat more plant-based, because I told them they should, but, and so they've been trying to eat a little less meat and eating a lot more whole foods into their life. And so so it does, you know, it can make an impact on people. So I'm not knocking that it was made and it was an important documentary. I just don't think that it was as powerful or as accurate as it could have been.
Yeah, maybe because if they studied someone who actually eats the whole food plant-based, and if you want to even add organic on that, if they actually included us, those people in there, we would blow the charts away so much. Like they to compare us, they'd be like, oh my God, those people are just way too healthy. Well, we can't tell the public that. Oh my God, we can't tell the public that. So maybe they did it kind of in an easy way, but they didn't want to go too far to show such a dramatic difference that the whole food plant-based people would be so much healthier. It would shock the culture, maybe, you know.
It might. And I think some people have it in their minds that the way you and I eat a whole food plant-based diet, vegan, you know, healthy vegan diet is too extreme. I think that people underestimate other people sometimes, especially if they have something to heal, because it took me way longer, and I wish I did it earlier. Had I known, I don't know, maybe when I was a teenager, maybe I wouldn't have been compliant because I was really addicted to food, right? And I wanted to fit in. But if I had like solid evidence, I think I would have tried it. Because there was points where I was just desperate for anything, right? I was like, I don't even care. I had to sign off. I had to have these surgical spine injections, and I had to sign off that, you know, I could become paralyzed or I could die. And they were like, they had to verbally tell me, and they had to have me sign. I was in my 20s, and I'm just like, yup, I don't care, because I was in so much pain. And same thing with surgeries. You know what I mean? We should not be taking surgeries lightly. Like, people just think, oh, you know, I just had a triple bypass, but the doctor does it every day. Like, this is normal. And I was like, we should not be opening our chest and going in there when we have tools that can, you know, yes, I'm saying that surgery is needed for a lot of times, especially if you have an accident or something, but a birth defect, but it's, especially when it comes to like cardiovascular, we can reverse that in like a matter of weeks in a lot of cases. And so, yeah, to get back to that, yeah, I wonder too, if it could be like, we don't want to make people too healthy. This could be, what's this going to mean? But also people thinking, well, if we make it too difficult, too restrictive, people aren't going to do it anyway. So what's the point? There's going to be that a little bit, probably for some people, probably in the beginning. But if we can really show the power that eating a whole food plant-based diet has, and the disease reversal, there's people that are going to follow it. They're going to do it because they feel so good. Look at all of us in the vegan health bundle. Mm-hmm. I would think probably almost all of us are whole food plant-based, or mostly, right? And I mean, everyone just, I mean, there's a ton of us. There's a bunch of contributors, and like we're all feeling amazing.
Absolutely. Tell everybody again, what do you have in the bundle?
I have a book, an ebook called Plants, Pills, and Punchlines, and it is a story about, you know, my health issues growing up and like throughout my whole life into my 30s, and my discovery of whole food plant-based diet and the power of that, and the struggles as well, the struggles of figuring it out and how it wasn't linear, um, and how once I finally like figured out how to do it and you know, get things aligned, like I was able to come off all my medicine and heal disease, reverse disease, and that's how I, you know, started getting into coaching people who have chronic illness as well. And then I also have 20 recipes in there, and those are a lot of those recipes I use to help me transition from a standard American diet to a whole food plant-based diet. They're not complicated. They're not, you know, they're very flavorful. Like, so a lot of it was just like, if you don't like vegetables, you know, flavorful vegetables, really how to like season things. And I'm not a chef by any means. They're pretty basic, but also these are the recipes I use. Like, I don't like to cook. I love to entertain, but I don't like to cook. But if I have family or friends over and it's like, oh, I got to make something, you know, I have a chili, an easy chili. I like things in one pot. I have, a pasta recipe. I have, my mom's soup recipe. Actually, I just omit the chicken. And they're just easy. There's another delicious soup in there that you just literally just put the vegetables in a pan. It's a butternut squash and fennel soup. You put the vegetables in a pan, roast them until they're done, throw it all in a blender, and it's done. It's so easy and quick. You don't even have to think about it. You just have to like cut the butternut squash. That's it. And so those are all recipes that help me transition. They're recipes that we still use today. They're our go-tos. They're easy, one pot for the most part. And then there's some specialty recipes in there, as like latkes, which are potato pancakes, and there's some scones, some pumpkin scones, and some what is it, gingerbread cookies. So that's what I missed, is like I missed some of the specialty things for holidays, and like how can I make these whole food plant based and like actually healthy? Like they're a little bit sweeter than I would normally make my food, but for as a treat, and they still have, you know, healing properties to them, and I can share them and not feel like, oh, this is just a broccoli salad that nobody wants to eat, you know. So yeah.
So my background, I have an English background. My mom is English, and the pasties are English. So I have tried to make scones. Now I've perfected crumpets, and I love my crumpets, but I've tried scones a few times, and they've been okay. But so I'm really interested. I got to go look at your scones recipe now, because I've tried them and they've been okay, but I haven't perfected the scones yet, you know?
Yeah, my scone recipe actually started, I wanted to have pumpkin cookies. And so I was like, I'm just gonna try to do that. And I'm putting it all together, and I just like kind of made it up. And I knew like like, how am I gonna make cookies without like an oil or a butter? And so I'm trying to make it, and I noticed that the dough was not like cookie dough. And I was like, yeah, I really don't think these are going to be cookies. I think I needed like an oil or a butter or something to make a, you know, because like for me, I haven't really found a whole food plant-based cookie that I like absolutely adore, because I miss the like kind of crunchy cookie on the outside and really chewy cookie on the inside. And I've only been able to do that with oil. And now, so you can make it vegan for sure, but if you're trying to do it oil free, yeah. So I did that, and I'm like, this is more of like a muffin or a, and I was like, it's sticky. I'm like, it's kind of like a scone texture. So I was like, let's just try to make them into scones and see what happens. And they came out really good, especially if you eat them sort of fresh out of the oven. There, it came out really good. Now, when you let them sit, and if you cover them, they do get a little bit squishy and more almost like a muffiny texture than they do, like, you know, scone kind of has a sort of like a crunchier outside, like a little bit harder outside, and like a very buttery sort of inside.
Yes.
So they're not exactly like not exactly like your English scone, but they definitely hit the spot. And I had them for Christmas morning. My sister, our tradition used to be that I would go to her house in the morning, or I would sleep over, and we would make the Sticky Fingers brand scones, you know, and you just mix it with water. It's full of sugar, full of gluten, full of I think butter, like, or milk, no, buttermilk. Yeah, it has buttermilk in there. And so I don't eat that anymore. And so I was like, oh, well, I want to still have a scone. So let's see if we can do this. And my parents were out visiting and they were like, these are really good. So I made them for all of us because my parents are gluten-free. So I'm like, I'm just going to make gluten-free vegan scones so that, the four of us can enjoy them, and my sister and brother-in-law and nephew can have their normal sticky fingers. And my parents were like, these are really good. These are really good. So yeah, I hope you do try them. I don't know if they're going to be your classic English style, but they are really tasty.
Well, good. Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, it's when you make desserts, sometimes I use pureed apples or pureed pears in the substitute of the oil. That works really well. And you mentioned that you don't like cooking. I love cooking. Like I've been cooking like my mom tells a story when I was 9 years old is when I created my first recipe. And my first job when I was 17 years old was in the food industry. I've been in the food industry since I was 17 years old. I adore cooking. I love cooking. In fact, I don't even think people can realize the astronomical amount of recipes. I've been creating recipes for 30 years, and I still create new recipes every single week.
Wow.
I mean, I just adore cooking. I love cooking. I get so into food. And that's why I love the bundle week. Because not only do I get to like try these recipes and everything, but connect with other people. And I am so glad that you joined my live today because I've had such a great time connecting with you. Now, for people who are watching the video, we've been bragging about the bundle, right? And so how do you buy the bundle? So in this video is on my YouTube and my Facebook. So the link is there for you to buy the bundle. Now, Lori is going to share this video to her social media, which, by the way, Lori, we need to connect on Facebook and Instagram. We need to connect. So then Lori's going to share this video and she'll put her link in there. So whoever's link you click on, but you click on that link and it takes you to a page, and that page shows you everything that's in the bundle. And then you click to purchase and you only pay $49. And there's $8,000 worth of merchandise in this thing. And now you will have this information for 1 year in this digital file. But if you find something that you really like for instance, my Healing with Foods or Lori's book, then you just hit the download button and you download the particular thing that you want to save forever. And you'll have it forever, right? So you'll have all of the 150 some contributions to look at for 1 year, but then which ones you want to save forever, download. And for $49, you've got a whole library for $49. You can just pick and choose, pull up recipes, pull up videos, read books. It's a positive energy of love. It's like a bundle of positive energy of love, because we're all about healing, helping each other, uplifting. And I would say uplifting the planet. When you heal, you uplift the planet. So it's a bundle of uplifting, loving energy of uplifting the planet. That sounds really good.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, because so my path is more of a healing path, which I think most people who end up going whole food plant-based end up finding some sort of healing anyway, or physical healing, I should say, but also emotional and mental healing. And also, like you said, with the planets, I mean, what we're doing for the environment and for the animals and for our future generations is super powerful. If you don't know anything about that, like you can ask any of us or, do a little bit of research, Googling on that. But a vegan whole food plant-based diet is like really the best that we can do for our future selves and our family and everything. And it really is, the whole bundle really is like a loving, healing environment. All the people in are amazing. And so, all together, the bundle, if you were to buy all of it separately and figure out the price, it's over $8,000. Mm-hmm. So to get it for $49, you're never going to see that again. Not this particular bundle. This is all unique. Every bundle is different. It's all unique, different contributors, different elements, different items in it. And so I have like 6 bundles of my own because I love these bundles so much. I have 6 of them and I download them in a Google Drive file and save them. And so I have them for life. And like you said, you can do that too. And you can also go in and read it and be like, I'm never going to read this again. And then you don't have to save it. But for the most part, I would say, download it in a external file or a Google Drive. It might be kind of a large file for just to keep on your computer forever, but yeah, download it somewhere, and you have all of this information for life forever. And it's just like, you're never going to run out of recipes, and definitely connect with Chef Val or I or anyone other contributors in the bundle. Like, not only do you get what we contributed, but you get access to us. So you get access to us in our social media. You can send us a direct message. A lot of us have our information in our books. You can email us if you have questions about what we offer, if you have questions about what we can offer outside of the bundle, if you have questions about just transitioning to a whole food plant-based diet. Also, it makes a really great gift. So if you're like, I don't think this is for me, I don't like to cook ever, and I just don't want it's not just a cooking thing. There's, like we said, a bunch of other things in there, but you're like, this would be really great for my sister-in-law, or this would be great for my best friend's birthday's coming up. Get it as a gift. It's a really nice gift to give someone. You're giving them healing and, like you said, love. You're giving them $8,000 worth of stuff. So it's kind of an amazing gift.
Absolutely. Tell everybody, Lori, what's your Facebook, what's your Instagram, what's your website? How can people follow you?
Yeah, so if you just go on Facebook or Instagram, you can look up Lori Landry Wellness. It's Lori, Laurie, and Lori Landry Wellness, and you can find me there. We can connect there. I also have a free Facebook group, Conquer Chronic Illness with Plant-Based Nutrition. That's kind of a mouthful, so if you can't find that by Googling it, you can just message me and I can send you the link. And also in my ebook that's in the bundle, Plants, Pills, and Punchlines, at the end for ways to connect, I also have a couple of freebies in there, free downloads with other ebooks and other guides that you can check out as well.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you. And everybody who's watching, make sure you get that bundle before March 10th. It's going to be gone. You won't be able to get it before. So get it before March 10th. And thank you so much, Lori, for joining me. This has been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you for having me. And I'm so glad we were able to connect. And I'd love to connect some more. And I want to visit Michigan, so we're going to get together. And you love to cook, so I love to eat. So
absolutely. Yeah, definitely. All right. Take care. Have a good day.
Bye. Thank you.